Imagine that where we live today, we actually were scared of always being bombed and being attacked. And every morning and night, we would hear sirens go off. They were telling us to go into underground shelters. And we went into these shelters, and all we could hear was the city that we loved being bombed and being attacked. Now, this was actually something that went on, as we all know, during World War II and World War I and the teens in the 40s. Now, actually in the 90s, the Yugoslav wars was happening over in Eastern Europe, in countries like Slovenia, Croatia, and Serbia. And there wasn't really any kind of weapon warfare such as guns. There was actually a lot of riots, and like I said, the bombings of these countries. And all these people would have to go underground every night so they would not basically get killed by these bombs. Now, Robert Wild reported on this on About.com, and he said that what happened, well, the cause of this was immigration. A lot of these countries didn't like people coming to these other countries without any kind of passports or anything. And so what happened is just the Yugoslav wars just exploded from 1991 until 1999. Now, one of these families that was greatly affected by this was the Djokovic family. And little did they know that their youngest son, Novak, was actually going to become a world-class tennis player, and he was going to use his experience from the Yugoslav wars to really better the world and innovate his tennis careers. Now, one of the big reasons that I decided to write about this was, speak about this, was because Djokovic is one of my favorite tennis players. He's really helped me become a better person, become a better athlete, and really love the game of tennis a lot more. I'm a diabetic, and tennis has helped me become a lot healthier as well and take better control of my diabetes. And it's because of Djokovic, really, that I've really taken that love of tennis and be able to take my health and my athleticism to the next level. Now, I'm going to talk about how Djokovic's early life and how, because the Yugoslav wars really affected him and made him a better tennis player. I'm going to talk about how he was an innovator of tennis. And I'm going to talk about how the Djokovic Foundation actually really helped the world. Now, Djokovic was born on May 22nd, 1987 in Belgrade, Serbia. And he actually began playing tennis at the beginning of the Yugoslav wars in 1991 at the age of 4. Now, he actually just really, it was kind of like second nature playing tennis for Djokovic. And then by the age 6, after only 2 years of playing, a lot of coaches around Serbia began to notice, hey, this kid's actually really good. He knows what he's doing. Now, a lot of coaches began to train him. Some of the top coaches in Serbia and even in Europe, came around and began to coach Djokovic. Now, a cool thing was that they actually had to coach them underground. Because of the constant bombings, they had to coach them in swimming pools that were drained out and had a metal roof over them. Because there was always constant bombing, constant riots, so they had to train these kids underground. So they would paint tennis lines in the pools and coach them there. Now, over the next couple of years, after about 7 years, when he was 13, they actually transferred him to Germany after the Yugoslav wars ended, where he could pursue a higher tennis career. And actually, he was only in Germany for a year before they said, this kid has potential. This kid's going to be world-class someday. So after 1 year at that tennis academy, he began to pursue an international career playing tennis. And he played all over the world. He played in Africa, in Europe, even a couple tournaments in America. And he only played for 3 years, won 3 European titles and 53 tournaments in total, which is still a record held by all of the juniors. Now, after that 3 years, he qualified for his first professional tournament and won that first professional tournament. And people then, at the pro level started to say, this kid's really good, just like they had said when he was a little kid. And after just 3 years of that, in 2007, he really made his debut. He made it to the finals of 2 of the major 4 tournaments, and then he also won 3 of the 9 Masters tournaments for the year. And all of that propelled him to number 3 in the world. He was now a world-class player and was competing with the best players in the world. And not only was he competing with them, he was beating them. Now, he was doing really great during this, and after 4 years of being at that number 3 and not quite making it over that tip, in 2011 he won 43 straight matches, which was a record and still is a record. And he actually made it to number 1 in the world that year by winning Wimbledon. Now, a lot of people will ask, how did Djokovic go, from holding that number 3 spot for 4 years to holding a number 1 to being able to win 43 matches and be able to win so many tournaments? He won 3 of the 4 Grand Slams, 6 of the 9 Masters, and people wanted to know his secret. So Eli Saslow of ESPN wrote in June 2011 that he went and interviewed Djokovic, and Djokovic said, instead of working on strength and endurance in tennis, I began working on flexibility. And after improving my flexibility and changing my diet to a gluten-free diet, taking out a lot of bread, even a lot of protein, and just focusing a lot on fruit and vegetables, that's what really tipped Djokovic over the scale and made him the great player that he was. Now, after he told everyone this, then all of the tennis players, professional, amateur, at every level, began trying to do this, focusing on flexibility and focusing on fixing their diet. And one of those people even included me. I thought tennis was all about endurance, and then I started focusing on flexibility, and I saw my game go through the roof. Now, even with Djokovic's contributions to the tennis world, he also had contributions to the world in general through the Djokovic Foundation. Now, Djokovic saw what the Yugoslav wars did to all the kids and families in Serbia. So what he decided to do was create a foundation that would help families that have been affected by that are in war-torn countries by creating schools, parks, churches, and everything else. Now, on his site, he reported that they've raised billions of dollars and have revived entire communities through putting churches and schools and tennis into the lives of these people and really helping them. Now, in conclusion, Djokovic has become a world-class tennis player, and he did this through his experiences in life. With his struggles in life, he used that to innovate tennis and the world. And the world is full of innovators, and Djokovic used his fame at this time to become an innovator and to help the people that were less fortunate than him and still keep his humble beginnings in mind. Thank you.